Whoa! What's up, Mets fans? How we doing? A little midnight Mets action. Another happy, excited, just fantastic, joyful episode. I got all the different adjectives to tell you how we're feeling. 5 in a row for the New York Mets, including 3 against the first place Arizona Diamondbacks in the National League West, playing arguably the best baseball we've played in a very long time, maybe this entire year. So much good to talk about. Me and James, we're burning the midnight oil. We're getting you all the stats, all the info, going over all the games because there's just so much to talk about here. Super excited to bring you guys this episode of the Mets'd podcast. Make sure you're following us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Shout Vito. We've been getting some killer TikToks, killer Instagram reels of the Francisco Lindor interview. In case you guys didn't see that, it's up on the New York Mets YouTube channel, up on our podcast feed as well. So make sure you check that out. And if you're listening to us, make sure you download, subscribe, all that good stuff on wherever you listen to your podcasts. And let's bring in James. James, how are we feeling? I think you're actually pretty close to the boys out in the desert right now.
I'm ridiculously close to the Mets right now. The Mets are going past. I'm in fabulous Las Vegas right now doing the podcast. Shout out my friend Ross, his bachelor party this weekend. Gonna do two podcast episodes in this hotel room in Vegas, which is gonna be really funny. But yeah, I'm really close to them. So I flew right past him. I gave him a good luck kiss when I was flying over the state of Arizona, and we won again. The Mets are as hot as they've been all season. 5 more wins until Mark and I have to get stomach aches for a pizza party. You guys are seeing like kind of what we envisioned at the beginning of the year, where we had some starting pitchers at the top of the rotation that were going to be able to carry the staff, and then an offense that was going to be good. Like we said for months, like how good this offense really could be when everything's clicking. And now you're seeing Francisco Lindor is one of the hottest hitters in baseball. Francisco Alvarez just had one of the most fun series I've ever Mets player have. Pete hit another home run on Thursday. Brett Beatty's starting to swing it better. Mark Cannon, the bottom of the Oilers. Starling Marte's hitting the ball hard. Neal was on base. Brandon Vogelback's getting on. This is like 3 out of the Mets' last 4 games to score at least 8 runs. Like, how much fun is that?
It's a lot of fun. Like, usually when you have to stay up for these late night games on the West Coast, like it's hard. It's hard. Like, I know a lot of people have like their jobs to go to in the morning. You can't burn the midnight oil. But these games have been like, just as a Mets fan who just saw that month of June, these were like, wow, I got to take in every second of this. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. Like you said, this is everything that we talked about that this team could be. And again, this is not the Diamondbacks of old. This is the first place in the National League West, Arizona Diamondbacks. They have been playing a little bit worse baseball of recent, but it definitely is not a bad Diamondbacks team. They were very, very good. We got lucky missing Zach Gallen for sure, but we were able to stop this offense that has been very, very solid all year and just kind of limit them and really dominate them this series, which is not something I honestly thought was in the cards.
Yeah, I mean, the only time they scored this entire series was 4th of July, Tuesday afternoon, just hitting a lot of home runs. Like, that was really it. That, like, we didn't see this, again, very talented Diamondbacks offense put an inning together. We barely used any relief pitchers this entire series. Like, we had starts of what it was 6 from Scherzer, 8 from Senga, 8 from Carrasco. It's like, okay, now you guys, like, now you're seeing the recipe. You're like, this could really work.
Mets got 22 innings from starting pitchers in a 3-game series. I don't know the last time that's happened. I don't know that's the last time that's happened. And we've talked about it so many times. And it's been talked about on SNY. It's been talked about on anything that is involved with the Mets. When the pitchers go deep into the game for the Mets, they are significantly more successful. That means the pitchers are pitching well. We're getting runs. Like, it's crazy how simple of a formula it is, but it really does like work every single time. Pitcher goes more than 6 innings, Mets win. It's pretty much how it works.
Yeah, that's how it's been working. And just going game by game here in this series, like starting to really look back at it, you can kind of just see like how the team was able to lean on the starting pitch and getting the hits when they were able to get the hits. Like starting with game 1, again, the ball was flying out that game, just both teams. Like Corbin Carroll hit a quick home run where it did suck to watch him injured on Thursday night. It really kind of took Dale's at what's probably going to be one of the more memorable rookie seasons in baseball if this is a serious injury, and we hope it's not because no one wants injuries. But he hit a home run Thursday afternoon. I believe it was the first inning, second or third batter of the game. I forgot where he was hitting, where he had an inside changeup from Max Scherzer that he inside outed as a left-handed hitter over the left field fence. That was a pitch coming in the mid-80s, low 80 miles an hour. It was on the inside. He's about, I don't know, what would you say? He's 5'10", 160, 23 years old.
Yeah, about soaking wet.
Inside the changeup, got the barrel down low and put it over the fence to left field. It was the coolest home runs. Even though it was like very like subtle, very low key, like one of the more home runs I've ever seen as a baseball fan.
No, and it was great too because the Mets responded immediately with the Starling Marte hitting that 3-run home run. You talked about it a little bit earlier, but he's been swinging the bat better. I mean, he had the double groin surgery. I'm sure it's just like more and more time, as more and more time passes, he's going to feel healthier, stronger, better. He's been running the bases better, I feel like, too, a little bit recently. Like, having Starling Marte being able to swing the bat like he did in this series, I don't think he necessarily got the results as much after this, but he had been hitting the ball a lot better. It felt like he was barreling up the baseball, hitting it with a little more authority. It really just changes the whole feel of this lineup.
Yeah, and in this game specifically, he had 3 hard hit balls even after that home run, which was great. And also just looked very comfortable back hitting in the desert again.
Yes.
But then he came back again. Chris had a huge series. Who's a hell of a baseball player. Your Gamecocks, Mark. Hit a home run. Scurriel him went back to back. And then Nimmo came back again. It was like, all right, 4th of July, fireworks. Like back, forth, home runs. Shout out John. He was talking about the ball flying out in Arizona. Sneaky, I believe, second highest elevation of any Major League Park.
Correct. That is correct. And you know what was really funny about this game too, listening to it on TV, was Keith Hernandez was just enamored with the way that the Arizona Diamondbacks structure their roster, with how many good athletes there are at every single position, especially out in the outfield. Everybody's fast. Everybody can run. Everybody can throw. Everybody can play the outfield. And he was like oogling and just drooling over these guys. And Gary goes, yeah, you know what's funny, though, is all their runs have been scored by home runs tonight. So don't know if that's really the case anymore there, Keith. But it was like, for all the great, cool, different stuff that they do of like old school baseball, at the end of the day, home runs and putting the ball in the air is still what wins games.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was just on a cross-country flight, but I'm pretty sure every single Diamondbacks run this series was scored via the home run, besides Corbin Carroll's bases loaded walk.
I believe so. Yeah, I think that is the case. And like,
that's crazy. And they are a very athletic team. Like you kind of see them flying around. It was just like, again, like very athletic outfielders. McCarthy, we mentioned him pregame. He's basically a football player playing baseball. Alec Thomas is a freak athlete, just hasn't really put the baseball stuff together yet. But enough about the Diamondbacks. We got to talk way more about the Mets.
Yeah,
because,
let's talk about the Mets.
I just want to go through an inning here, which was the 6th inning for Scherzer on Tuesday. This was probably hilarious, one of the low points even in the series, even though it was an inning that like trouble he got out of. He was really cruising through to that 6th inning. He was 5 innings through, 7 strikeouts, 2 hits, no walks. Like, this really reminded me, like, again, I'm going to just say this and just don't want to get out of everybody's head immediately. This reminded me a lot of the Braves start, where kind of the same thing happened, because then he got the first 2 outs of that 6th inning. And then they had 2 infield singles and then a walk. And then Carroll came up, or maybe infield single, walk, infield single. I think that was the order. And then Carroll came back up, and he had one of the most impressive at-bats, I want to say, like, of like the season I've watched as a baseball fan, because he was working the count against Scherzer, and Max got 2 strikes on him. And he kept trying to get a fastball past him high. And every single time, Carroll wasted it. And then eventually he just put in place the cutter down and in, like, at the right spot to him. And it was like, that wasn't that bad. You watch, like, all right, good job, young man. Like, you really earned that. And then we got out of the inning. Only that 1 run was given up, left with a tie. But it did put like the ittiest bit of souring on what would have been another really good Max Scherzer start.
Yeah, I was definitely feeling a little different at the beginning of the series than I did towards the end of it. I was like, oh man, which Scherzer pitched a little bit better. But like, yeah, I mean, looking back on it, like, he pitched fine. Again, did enough for us to keep us in the game, give us a chance to win. And that's really all we needed, especially with the way that this offense has been playing. And I mean, can we talk about Francisco Alvarez now? Is it time? Or are we going to save all the big stats for the end, maybe in game 3?
I mean, I'm now just talking like a little bit at a time here, because he hit 3 individual huge home runs in this series. The first, again, coming Tuesday evening off of old friend Miguel Castro. Love that.
Remember how angry everybody was when we traded him for Joely Rodriguez, and everyone's like, Miguel Castro, can you believe this? Yeah.
But those are the same people who actually hated Miguel Castro when he was a member of the New York Mets. So it goes back and forth. You never really know Mets fans. But this home run from Alvarez was an absolute nuke. The best ball I've seen him hit so far as a professional, 110 miles an hour off the bat, 26-degree launch angle, projected 467 feet, a bomb and a half. That's projected the 13th furthest home run hit by any player this season. And as of games on Thursday, the furthest by any player age 22 or younger. I know Gunnar Henderson hit 2. I didn't see videos of them, but I'm hoping. I don't think either of them went 470, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was really nice to see that. Things got a little bit dicey in the 9th inning. We know we're like, a little scary, but you know what? The Mets came out on top. Got the win to make it 3 in a row at the time, which was really cool. Like, wow, 3 in a row. We haven't seen this in a minute. Super excited, feeling good, feeling great going into game 2 with Kodai Senga on the mound. They moved Scherzer up in the start because they wanted to give Kodai Senga like normal rest, not like the new American MLB rest. I don't know what to call it, but like they wanted to give him that extra day. So they moved Scherzer up so that Scherzer could also get one more start before the All-Star break, I believe. So Senga now pitched game 2. Boy, oh boy, Kodai Senga. I mean, we always talk about the ebbs and flows that we're going to see with him, but that was quite a performance by Kodai. Got to be his best start, which is crazy because I feel like we've said that like 3 out of the last 4 times he's pitched.
Well, we have, because he keeps like learning and finding new tricks and getting better. And he did something really cool in this start, something I made a big Twitter thread about like a month and a half ago, something we've talked about in this show, where he pitched backwards. Gary and Keith were talking about it a lot. I think Steve Gale was mentioning it too. I think he saw my Twitter thread. That's where he got that piece of information from, I'm pretty sure. But he was throwing so many ghost forks and cutters early in the count, and then he was mixing in his 4-seam fastball as his put-away pitch. Really, really, really interesting. He only used one 4-seam fastball the entire when he was behind in the count. Wow. And he only individually 1-2-0, 1-3-0, and 1-3-1 count the entire game. So he was ahead. He was getting his strikes early. He was staying ahead of these guys. The game plan was amazing. The most interesting part was that he really leaned on that cutter, which is a pitch that he's been really like building up slowly as this year has gone on. He's thrown at least 20% of the time in every single start, except 2, since April 26th, which I believe was his 3rd start of the year. And Wednesday was the first time in his major league career where it was his primary pitch, otherwise known as his most thrown pitch. It was also the most thrown pitch he did, the first pitch of at-bats to Diamondbacks hitters, and he really, really, really leaned on it when he was behind the count against these guys. And that pitch got 7 called strikes as well as his fastball. But those fastball called strikes were a lot of strike 3s. That was his finisher. He was hitting it low. He was placing it high, varying both the cutter and fastball against right lefties, putting the cutter away the righties and bringing it in on lefties, which is, that's a good way to do it, but that's still not the easiest thing to do. Use the same pitch to different sides of the plate for different handed hitters. Like, that's a hard thing mechanically to be able to repeat over a game. And like, it was just incredible. And even the ghost fork, like he was throwing ghost fork a ton to start hitters off. His second most pitch behind the cutter, more than his fast start hitters off in the at-bats. And it got tons of whiffs. He even got some curveballs over for strikes. Like, he had every single trick in the bag. It was amazing.
He looked so good. He looked like you said, amazing. Like, it's really that simple. Kodai Senga looked amazing. Gary and Keith were really loving the use of the high fastball. And he even like he had these Diamondback hitters in a blender, like you said, pitching backwards. It's almost like they were like, wait, but you're supposed to fastball first, then the cutter, then the ghost fork. You're not doing that. Like, what do? We game planned for something that is not happening right now. They looked lost. They looked confused. They looked overmatched again for a team that offensively has been very, very strong this year. It's so awesome watching Kodai Senga pitch like this. It's so awesome because anytime you get one of these players in, you get all the different questions. What's he going to do? What's he going to adjust? And we're literally seeing Kodai Senga make adjustments game in, game out as the season's gone on, getting smarter, getting better, just overall becoming a better pitcher than I honestly expected at this point.
You know what else is insane? Like, even after all the ups and downs first half, Kodai Senga is the 10th lowest ERA in the National League. And we're not an ERA podcast. We know ERA kind of is more indicative of what you've done. It's a good amalgamation of that, not really what you're going to do. But just keep seeing Kodai get better. Keep seeing him tinker with his repertoire. Keep seeing him kind of like, the best way I can describe it is like, see, he kind of has that dog in him. Like, to be like the corny social media stuff I could possibly say. What
did we say when we were at Kodai's introductory press conference when he came in with the suit? He came in looking all serious. Wow. We looked at each other, we were like, dog. Dude's a dog. Like, the guy's got a dog in him. He's here. He's focused. He's ready. We know he called out the Phillies. He was like, I can't wait to face them, and he mowed them down. The dude seems to have no fear, which is pretty sick.
No, he attacks hitters. He's not used the inside of the plate. He's not afraid to just throw you a pitch and say, I don't think you're really going to hit it. Like, it's some of these starts, we have seen him really work it back and forth with these game plans, but I really just think it's all about what he feels comfortable with today. Like, once we saw him take the sweeper out of the repertoire, we really saw him at a new level. And now with this cutter being a weapon he can use against guys on the right side and the left side, get more soft contact, get more ground balls, get more first pitch strikes, use a pitch with movement when you're behind in the count so the hitters can't get fat and wait for that fastball. It's really ridiculous. Literally, and it's really to see how consistent he is with this extra day. Like, this is something that's really important, and it's not really something that I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of fans, some of them get frustrated. I know, again, Vito's in the eye, but I was with my uncles on the 4th of July. Like, I wish he could just pitch every 5th day. Who cares? He's really successful every 6th day. It doesn't matter.
Dude, we have Jose Quintana coming back, and I was watching SNY, and you're going to yell at me for watching SNY programming, but like, they were like, what are they going to do when Quintana comes back? I'm like, 6-man rotation. 100%. 6-man rotation. It makes so much sense.
or even like 6-man rotation, and probably maybe. I mean, Carrasco's also pitching as well as he has all year, but just like I don't know, kind of massage these guys' workloads a little bit. Like there's gonna be a lot of games and a lot of days coming up once we get through July and August. We got a lot of long home stretches, a lot of long series here. Like having many pitches, not a bad thing. And you look at the way this Mets team is playing now, and you're like, if they had one more starting pitcher, it's like how many more wins would this team like really even have? Like,
I know.
damn. But again, it's beautiful to watch Kodai do this. And the only thing that was bad about this game first was just the fact that the Mets couldn't scratch any run support for him.
Yeah, against Tommy Henry, which was a bit frustrating. Wait, I got one more Kodai Senga fact for you because I think this one's really, really cool. Pulled this one up. I was going in my Johnny Stats mode here today. It's really all over StatHead. But Kodai Senga has the 11th most strikeouts in the first 16 starts of a pitcher's career in Major League Baseball history. The Mets have 4 of the top 11 in Major League history for most strikeouts to start a career over the first 16 starts. Can you name the other 3 besides Kodai Senga?
Seaver?
No.
Gooden?
Yup.
DeGrom?
No.
Are they weird?
No, they're guys you would get, but I think you might be able to forget them. I can give them to you if you want.
Kuzman, Ryan?
Ryan is one of them for sure. You're
Not
missing
Kuzman.
one more. It's more recent.
Is super recent?
Within the last 10 years.
Wheeler.
Matt Harvey.
Yeah, I was going to go over the next one, of course.
Matt
Sorry, all
Harvey.
of these ones, but dude, the Mets have all the top guys. Hey, legacy of great pitching in this organization, but the pitching can only get us so far in this game. And Kodai Senga did wind up giving up a home run to Christian Walker. I believe it was the bottom of the 7th year. And I'm lauding the cutter. It wasn't a cutter that bled a little bit too much over the plate, and he had fouled a few ones off, and he just hit one out. Again, Christian Walker's a hell of a baseball player.
Good hitter.
These last 2 years, his development, wow, he is a star first baseman. But it really didn't matter because we have one thing that no other team in baseball has, and that is Francisco Alvarez.
Yes. As the clock was striking midnight. Midnight Mets, we know, just hits different. Always midnight Mets. And Francisco Alvarez, this at-bat, I thought was unbelievably impressive from anybody, but especially a young 21-year-old. Keith was really just like loving this at-bat today when he was talking about in Game 3. But it was a 2-1 count to Francisco Alvarez. A low strike was called on Andrew Chafin's slider, which is one of the best sliders in all baseball. Was not a strike. Changed the count from going 3-1 to 2-2 now. And Francisco Alvarez was pissed, stepped out of the box, like yelled at the umpire, like, give me time, kind of recomposed himself, got back in the zone, took another slider in the dirt to make it 3-2, then fouled off some pitches, and then, of course, hit that home run. But for a 21-year-old to get kind of a horrible call, then adjust, relax, not let the moment get too big for him, just kind of keep it all inside himself, and then put one opposite field against one of the better left-handed relievers in baseball. We know he hasn't performed against lefties as well as righties this year. I mean, it was awesome. I'm at my parents' house now because I still don't have AC, and it was midnight, so they're sleeping. But I was doing like the whisper. I was like, let's go.
I ran around my room in Brooklyn, just pumping my fists, like going back and forth, like, yeah, come on. Also, like, I love that it was against a lefty because like a lot of people make about like stories about Alvarez like having these bad splits against lefties, even though it's been like 120 at bats, probably a completely irrelevant sample that has nothing to do with how he's going to hit against lefties in his career. Also against Andrew Finn, who's someone that everybody begged to be on the Mets for years, is having a good year, actually getting ninth inning this year. I think he's given up like over 2/3 of his earned runs this year in the ninth inning, which is really hilarious. But even just also opposite field, like, oh my God, it was beautiful. Down to his last strike too. Second time he's hit a home run, the ninth inning for the Mets, trailing to tie the game down to the last out. Like, it's ridiculous. And then the best part about this, unheralded part about this was only to tie the game. Yeah. And then this Alvarez 7th hit in the order, and the new 8 buddies, Brett Beatty and Marcana, back to back. Did Beatty hit a sharp single or he draw a walk?
Sharp single through the first second base hole on an 0-2 count, by the way, against a lefty, Andrew Chafin. Just things you love to see, just like growth of a player, getting better and better as he keeps playing more.
Yeah. Also, want to shout out, I ran into Brett Beatty, one of his best friends in the Vegas area today, Garrett Wilson. I almost cried. You guys had talked about this show. Yeah, quick shout out. Jets, Buckeyes, Mets. I was like, Garrett, what's up? He's like, hey, dude, man. He's like, hey, with the Mets, I've talked to him. He's like, oh, that's not my friend, man. That's my dog. That's my bro. He's like, been with me since the beginning. I was like, hell yeah. He's like, yeah, so you're Jet Buckeyes? I was like, yeah. He's like, Mets? He was like, yeah. He's like, ah, yeah, hell yeah. Let's be friends, by Garrett. But we're beside the point. And then Mark Cannon also against Andrew Chafin. People also make a thing about Cannon not being able to hit lefties. I don't really think it's true either. And he smokes a triple into Triples Alley over there at whatever they call Diamondbacks Field now. and the team was going ballistic. The emotion that was coming out of the team the ninth inning yesterday. Every single guy was standing up in the top step. Verlander and Scherzer and late at night were screaming. Like Mark Canha was losing his mind over there. Like Brett Baty was pumping his fist and screaming like this. That felt like one of the first times in the last couple of months where you're like, all right, we're here. Like we're believed. Like we're ready to play ball.
It felt like a release. It felt like a finally, like here we are. There we go. Like Alvarez hitting that home run, jump it. The dude got airborne multiple times last night on the home run, jumping, hitting the thing, doing the muscles around the bases. Like absolutely love it. Canha was looking like a crazy person at third base. And I think it's really important to talk about Brett Baty and Canha too, how well they've kind of been playing like low key under the radar. While Baty hasn't been hitting for much power, which is, something that we expect to see more of since June 6th, he's hitting 290 with a 350 on base. Like it's really good for another rookie who's playing pretty much every single day at third base. The power again hasn't been there. So OPS is like 700 over that time, but 290, 350 is pretty good process.
And the exit velocities are still great. Every single day he puts 107, 110, like 112. He hits the crap out of the ball. It's just going to be about his, pitch recognition, getting the right counts, lifting that ball eventually. But there's still tons of faith in that.
And then with Mark Canha, since May 21st, we know he's a beast in the month of June, but since May 21st, he's hitting 284 with a 419 on base, 473 slugging, 892 OPS with a 16% walk rate, 15% K rate. He's been walking more than he strikes out. He's been hitting for power, extra base hits, getting on base. If we want someone who's going to be like a really, really good 9 hitter, honestly, I love Mark Canha in the 9 spot. I absolutely love him there because he gets on base, resets the lineup for the top of the order, and he doesn't clog the bases. He's been playing really, really well.
Yeah, and this always happens with baseball teams where like the month of the season will always like get ingrained in your mind, and that's kind of what is like becomes the perception of players. Like Canha had such like a bad April, and even a guy like Pete who like pump All-Star game, home run derby is going to be great, but he had like a pretty slow like 2 months here. But like that perception of having such a good April will always like stick with everybody more because like you're like, oh, he started the year well, he's playing well. But Canha's like just slowly creeping back up to all his career numbers. That positive aggression is happening for him. It's happening for Marte. Like it's happening for a lot of players in this team right now. It's really a good thing to see them get hot.
Huge win. Take the series, which is nice. We just got to take series one at a time. So we win the series with a chance to get the sweep going into game 3. Carlos Carrasco on the mound going up against Ryan Nelson. I mean, this is a weird pitching matchup for sure, but luckily for the Mets, really worked out for us because the boys just absolutely attacked Ryan Nelson, and Carlos Carrasco was probably the best he's been as a Met ever.
I think probably the best this year. Also going 8 innings for Carlos Carrasco was crazy. He's been really getting length a lot of these starts. Got a stat here from Sarah Langs. Kodai Senga and Carrasco each going 8 innings for back-to-back games for the Mets. It's the first time that happened for the Mets since August 2nd and 3rd, 2015. It was Syndergaard and Bartolo that did that.
Oh my gosh. Making me woozy.
Yeah. But again, I was on a plane during this game, so I was just tracking on my phone. I didn't get to watch, but you told me that the guys said that Carrasco's been throwing a new slider that he learned from watching Pablo Lopez on Instagram.
Yeah, they were saying that he used it in the Giants start, and as we know, that was one of his better starts, and I think you talked about it. He was throwing the slider, I think, as his primary pitch in that start, which is something that Carrasco doesn't normally do. And they asked him why, and it was like at the locker after the game, which is some stuff that we missed because we record right after it. But he was like, yeah, I saw Pablo Lopez show his slider grip on Instagram, and I was like, let me try that. And he tried it in a bullpen, loved it, used it in the game, was like, oh, this is like way better. It was successful against the Giants, and I think it was successful against the Diamondbacks again tonight. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great pitch. I did some digging on it, just like trying to find like different parts of the pitch physics that were different. And it is pretty clear there is a different slider these last 2 starts. He got a higher release point coming up over here, and he's getting tons more horizontal break on it, more slide on that, a little more sweep, if you will. Yearly average about 3.5 inches heading into his last start. And the last 2 starts averaged 6 and 5 inches respectively of horizontal movements. That's significant increase in movement, tiny bit less velocity, tiny bit more spin. But I think the big thing is a change in that release point, vertical release point, and is getting more chases, more whiffs. It's going in the zone less, and it's getting a lot of soft contact. Can't get it for the individual pitches, but 21 balls in play against Carlos Carrasco on Thursday. 12 of them were on the ground, and 4 of them were pop-ups.
Yeah.
So that's 16, really only 5 baseballs per play against Carrasco in like a possibility of doing damage.
Yeah, no, he was phenomenal again. Giving us that length is huge. Giving the bullpen just another day off. We know the bullpen has been so heavily used recently. So just being able to kind of relax, have a really, really easy game because Carlos Carrasco was in the driver's seat, especially when the Mets gave him a bunch of runs. He gave us shutdown innings. Like everything about this game was just chef's kiss. It was beautiful. It was amazing. This is what you live for as a Mets fan.
And you want to hear another funny thing? We talk about the Mets' length of starting pitchers all this year. This was the fourth time this year Mets gone 8 innings, exact same amount as last year.
That's
only
crazy.
July.
That's crazy.
All last year's team needed was more starting pitching, just like this year's team.
Baseball's messed up.
Baseball is messed up. This podcast is messed up.
It is messed up.
God.
All right, let's talk about the hitting now, though, because, I mean, we kind of talked about how good Alvarez has been. We talked about the 3 homers in 3 games. Let's talk about it again. He had another home run, tied for the second most home runs by a catcher 21 years or younger, tied with Darryl Porter. The only guy ahead of him is who, James?
Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench, probably the greatest catcher of all time. Pretty insane, kind of class to be a part of. And then I dove even deeper into the Francisco Alvarez numbers here. Alvarez has the most home runs in the first 211 plate appearances to start a season by any player 21 years or younger in Major League Baseball history. I know I just gave you a Tim Kirkshin stat. It was absolutely insane, incredibly specific. But the fact that he has done that, the next closest guy, by the way, weirdly, again, another Met, Ron Swoboda in 1965 with 13 home runs in a similar amount of games and plate appearances. But if you look at like similar games for guys 21 years or younger, they had like 80, 90 more plate appearances in that time. So what Francisco Alvarez has been able to do this year, there's been ups and downs, we know, but boy, oh boy, a lot of ups, ups. And the power is just so legit. 16 homers and 211 plate appearances is like some of the best home run to plate appearance ratios in the game right now. That's ridiculous.
It is. It's literally disgusting. He has the OPS back to 790 after it dipped into the low 700s these couple of days. And talking about Johnny Bench, a lot of times when we've talked about Alex these last few months, we compare him to Pudge because Pudge played so many more games before turning 22, 23 and every other catcher because he was so good at defense that I think he was called up at 19 or 20 and just was like, let's just lead the pitching staff. He really wasn't hitting at that point in his career. He was compiling as a young guy. Bench did have that marquee season at when he had 26 home runs. I think it was in, did you listen here? No, you didn't. I think I have it actually. I think I have the other notes. 69 actually. Good year for the Mets. But I'm at the bachelor party right now. It's all Ohio guys. Look what I literally saw while you were talking about that in the room.
A Johnny Bench jersey?
A Johnny Bench jersey was 4 feet away from me recording this podcast. How amazing is that?
Why is someone bringing a Johnny Bench jersey to a bachelor party in Vegas?
These are Ohio guys. Everyone's bachelor party is either engaged or married besides me, one other dude, and my friend's 21-year-old younger brother. So it's like they all just kind of like, you don't have to think about anything. You're engaged at 22 years old when you live west. Like you're like, all right, shut it all down. Let's sports gambling, baseball jerseys. Let's eat. Like that's all we need to think. No fashion. It's not New York.
I mean, what Alvarez has been able to do is just so incredible. We've been talking about him since he got called up, since before he got called up. We've been like, hey, this guy is the truth. He's going to be that dude. He's going to be that guy. And I feel like as more and more people are starting to become hip and watching, not just Met fans, but fans of baseball around the league, like, oh, there's a reason he has the best tattooed on his neck. I mean, he's going to get there, I think.
This is the second time it's happening this show. We don't like to do it very often, but I have to give credit where it's due because that's why I had the funniest segment maybe they've had all baseball season. I think it was Wednesday afternoon. Well, no, I think it was actually Thursday afternoon, yesterday, and you guys are listening to this, where they had the brain trust on there debating who would you rather have, Francisco Alvarez or Corbin Carroll.
Oh, dude, they had one today of Francisco Alvarez, Anthony Volpe. I was watching that.
That's not even close. Yeah.
I was like, this is insane.
But the Carroll one's funny because Corbin Carroll, again, it sucks he got injured today. I really hope he's not hurt long term because he just makes baseball better. He is sensational. Alvarez is amazing too, don't get me wrong. But Corbin Carroll's like doing all the things Francisco Alvarez is doing, but also like hitting 300 and playing elite defense and like the fastest player in baseball. Like it's amazing. And again, we love Francisco Alvarez. That just puts in perspective how good Corbin Carroll is. But yeah, it's a good segment for daytime television for people who don't know who Corbin Carroll is.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling if you polled a lot of fans of baseball, even they wouldn't know. It's just like you got to be really in it, or you got to be playing fantasy baseball probably to know Corbin Carroll. But he'll be a household name, just like Francisco Alvarez should be by the time that this episode goes out. He should be a household name already.
Yes, he's a household name, and I have him in our households. And the Diamondbacks maybe didn't really appreciate how well he played against them because it looked like they gave him some cheese towards the end of this game.
I don't know. The guy immediately was like, "Oh my God, not me." And Alvarez didn't really look that mad. It looked like the home plate umpire kind of escalated a little bit because he just like ran out immediately and started like making sure Alvarez wouldn't go. And Alvarez looked at him like, "Why are you touching me? Like, what's going on? Like, just let me be. I'm good. We're winning. Like, that's the win here is that we're winning." Good day to be Francisco though. Good day to be Francisco. We talked about Alvarez. Let's talk about Lindor. 5 for 5, 2 triples in his first 2 at bats. Hit a home run. Couple singles. He was a double away from the cycle. On his second triple, he honestly almost was thrown out, which would have weirdly given him a cycle, even though it would have been a worse outcome. But, oh, man, I mean, Francisco Lindor, dude, we're seeing that guy again. Like, we're seeing that player that we saw last year. We know the beginning of the season was a little bit rough with the average numbers. I know the old heads are going to be like, he's hitting 230. Guy's OPS is up to 788 now, which is well above league average. Hitting extra base hits like crazy. Just had one of the best games, plays elite defense at shortstop. He's that dude. He's that guy.
That's ridiculous. He's almost 60 RBIs at the All-Star break. Like, it's ridiculous what he's doing right now. He also is the first player in Mets history to have 2 triples in the first 3 innings of a game. That's a cool one. Shout out Sarah Langs. John's asleep, so we need stats from somewhere. And he's just once again just cruising his way to another like 6-win season, like very casually. Another instance of like, oh my God, the guy had a bad April year must suck. But it's like, you guys heard him in the interview, and if you didn't hear him in the interview, like, go back and listen to it. Like, people have things to say to him, but then he's just gonna keep playing super well, and there isn't gonna be anything to say anymore. And it's just he is the best shortstop in the National League. It's ridiculous that he might not be in Seattle in a couple days.
Insane that they picked that fraud that is James Swanson. He calls himself Dansby. Your first name's James. Have some respect. But James Swanson gets on that team instead of Francisco Lindor. It makes literally no sense. He doesn't have a better number anywhere. I don't think there's a single thing that he does better than Francisco Lindor, except maybe batting average. But we know this isn't a batting average podcast because that would be stupid. Who cares about batting average? I think this is something I like to say to like Mets fans who get mad about the batting average thing. I'm like, hey, 18 home runs, 60 RBIs at the All-Star break for Francisco Lindor. Good or bad year? Just answer really that, because the only answer is good year.
I mean, it's a great year. Like, the way I slice it, Francisco Lindor is playing great right now. He's 5 RBIs clear of every other shortstop in baseball. Like, it's like kind of ridiculous what's going on. ESPN actually populated their stats already. Good for them. They got 18 homers, 57 RBIs, 11 stolen bases, 472 slug. He's crushing right now. Bo Bichette batting average 100 points higher. Lindor has 1 less double, 1 more triple today, 3 more home runs, 5 more RBIs. And he's only struck out 8 more times. That's a lot of singles from Bo Bichette. This isn't a singles pass. We're here for the big stuff.
Don't care about singles.
Whatever. Who needs singles? Another guy doesn't care very much about singles. Alonso.
Yeah.
Got another home run, getting in home run derby shape. He's ready to rock. Smoked the ball, 111.5 miles an hour, 17-degree angle. Just got out in a hurry, like a little lower than Pete's normal home runs. You have this note here you want to say because you wrote it down.
Only 2 other home runs have been hit similarly to Pete's tonight, which was 111 miles an hour, 17 to 18-degree launch angle. That was by Yandy and Jock. So just shows you how strong this guy is. I mean, Yandy Diaz is probably the most jacked person in the entire major leagues. He's built like a non-human. It's insane. And Jock Peterson, for some reason, hits the ball really hard. I don't know. He's got a little baby fat, but he crushes baseballs. So that's one thing. Pete's definitely, he's going through it a little bit right now. Not as consistent and not necessarily as hot as we have seen him, like we saw at the start of the year. But for him to maybe get into that home run derby, get that swing back, he was swinging aggressive tonight, which looked really good. Just start building a good little season here, building a good little second half. Things will be all right for Pete. He's a beast.
Yep. And the only other thing to close this game in this series is new Met Trevor Gott made his Mets debut. Pitched a very clean inning. He part of the trade, but the Mets made on, what was that? That was Tuesday. It was Tuesday afternoon.
Yep.
No, Monday afternoon before 4th of July. 4th of July, Tuesday screwed this whole week up. But they traded Zach Muckenhirn, who had already been designated for assignment, to the Mariners for Chris Flexen, who they had already designated for assignment, and Trevor Gott. And the Mets swiftly designated Chris for assignment. So if no one claims Chris Flexen, I think be resolved by the time this episode comes out. He'll now be on the Mets books for $4 million in AAA, or someone else will take him and take the money. So basically, did this DFA swap, paid a little bit of money to get Trevor Gott, who is a worst case just a reliever. He definitely peaked a few years ago, 2019, with the Giants, when they kind of started like reworking every single thing they were doing as an organization. And he's just sinker, cutter, curveball, get guys out both sides of the plate. lost a few ticks of velocity this year. He struggled with some arm injuries and a back issue earlier this year. So he went from like 95.5, 96. This year's been sitting around 93, 92.5. So definitely want to see if that comes back. It's definitely going to give him more life on his four-seam fastball. But sinker, cutter, curveball, all look like good pitches. He just seems like another guy just be used in like the mishmash of middle relief.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking to you. I don't know much about Trevor Gott, so I was like, let's hear what the reliever whisperers got. I know Gott coming up. Send your boy Jeff Brigham down, but hey, he's got some stuff to work on. He'll be back.
No worries,
we'll know he'll be all right.
We're not in a rush for Brigham here. This is the long game here. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's only July still.
100%. And the last thing to talk about with the series, I won the estimate. No game came even close to 3 hours. Well,
the first game did.
First game did, but we didn't care about that because we cared about how late the game ended. And I definitely won that one easily. I've now taken a 1-game lead, 5 in a row, just like those New York Mets. James, you've lost a little bit of lead here. You're gonna need to come back, otherwise we're gonna see you in the full jersey, cleats, everything eye black. You're wearing eye black. I don't care. I was gonna wear.
I don't want to wear eye black. Eye black could make me break out. I don't want to wear eye black.
Eye black's not gonna make you break out. That's insane.
I don't need it. We'll see about the eye black. We'll see what happens. But I still have a shot to tie it back up this week. 2 years in a row, I just completely lose my focus. I'm ready to win. I just stop paying attention. It's some awful guesses on me the last few ones. Terrible.
Yeah,
just
ones.
Completely miserable guesses. I would have won this one though. Freaking Tuesday counted. But of course, Johnny Fix.
John's got my best interests, and that's why I love John. So he sent us the estimate. Of course, John, new father, he needs some sleep. So understandable why he left the boys tonight. Here's what we're going to say is the secret word. James, what do we got? What's the secret word? Make a Vegas theme since you're there.
Secret word is Venetian.
Venetian. Okay. Venetian's the secret word for John. He still never told us any of the words. He likes to listen to the first 5 minutes, I think. So
yeah, I think so too.
Let's go ahead and do this estimate here. He said total hits by players with contracts worth $200 million or more, which sounds insane, but there's quite a few of them in this series. We got Francisco Lindor. We got Xander Bogaerts. We got Fernando Tatis Jr. Is there another one?
Manny Machado.
Yes.
I should have told you that. I had my edge. I just lost it. Damn it.
Dang. Okay. I mean, I knew that there was more, but I was like, who was the last guy? Yeah, Manny Machado. So we got 4 guys, total hits by the 4 of them. Bunch of them are Padres, so hopefully this is a low number here. But just like the Mets, the Padres are kind of playing their best baseball right now. We are unfortunately catching a team that is also very hot at the moment. Pitching well. They've been pitching well all year. We'll do our preview in a second here. But for the estimate, what am I thinking for the 4 players hits it's a 3-game series, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
You think they're playing their best baseball? They're literally coming off like an 8-game losing streak. They're just to sweep the Angels, though. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, for the Padres, 3 in a row. That's pretty good for them.
So we're looking like 4 marquee baseball players in a 3-game series. How many hits they're going to combine for? Interesting one by John. Also, John not here to defend his favorite player, Xander Bogaerts. John's favorite contract in baseball. Really timing for John to bail on us.
To be fair, Xander Bogaerts has gotten hot. But all right,
he has. Yeah,
I've got my number. You got yours?
Yeah, I got mine.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, bang.
9.
Mine says 13.
I went 9.
13. Okay, so 13 versus 9. So What does that mean? 11 is our enemy. That's a push.
11's actually is fine because then you just win.
Yeah, I guess then I just win. Oh,
I need 10. So I need 10 or fewer hits from these guys in this series. We need someone's got to get an off day, right? Tatis is due for an off day.
I mean, listen, I'm just really banking on Francisco Lindor getting like 2 hits a game. Give me 6 from Lindor, and I'm going to be feeling really good, I think, at that point.
Yeah, the way he's hitting right now, that's not hard, but yeah, I guess it's a good time to bring in the Padre preview. The Padres are kind of like the Spider-Man with the Mets this year. Here you go. Oh, you spent a lot of money. You're playing well. That's me too. That's us. That's what we're doing right now. 2 of some of the biggest contracts in baseball. We got some serious pitching matchups in this series because the Padres have a serious staff. All this good luck we've had with pitcher matchups the last few weeks, it's flipping back around. We got all 3 of the boys. We got Yu Darvish on Friday night, our favorite pitcher to face ever. I freaking hate this guy. Against Justin Verlander. And then little lefty battle. Saturday late night. 10-10 for you guys in the East Coast. 7-10 for me in Vegas. That'll be a nice one to watch at the Circa Stadium swim. That'll be actually a pleasure. Blake Snell versus David Peterson.
Okay.
And then Sunday, lead it in the All-Star break, 4:10 Eastern, Joe Musgrove versus Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I mean, like you said,
good games.
We're not missing any of their pitchers. They don't really have any bad pitchers either, to be fair. Like Seth Lugo's been really good this year. I'm kind of happy we don't have to face him, so I don't even have to hear that discourse. God forbid he pitches well. Michael Wacha's hurt, but he's been sick.
Awesome.
Like, I mean, they got good pitching. They got good pitching. Their bullpen's also been like pretty decent too. It's weird why they don't win. They don't score runs, kind of.
Could you imagine telling a Padres fan in March, I don't even think Michael Wacha was signed. Let's say the day after Michael Wacha was signed, that you would get like, let's see how many innings these guys combined for this year.
85 for Wacha.
You would be getting 145 innings, 48 exactly, 149 out of Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo this year, and you are in the threes, and you'd be under 500 at the All-Star break.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make any sense. Like, this team is very confusing. We played them earlier in the year, took the series from them, right? We took the series from the Padres.
We did 2 out of 3.
We know a lot about them. We know these guys. Like Juan Soto is sick, not part of this estimate, but he's sick. He's still awesome. Fernando Tatis Jr. is probably the biggest snub in the entire All-Star game. Crazy. He just didn't make the roster somehow. I don't know how he didn't, but he's disgusting. Ha-Seong Kim, they've moved him to the leadoff spot, has been awesome. And we know that he's a Met killer, so expect something from Ha-Seong Kim. This is going to be a really good series. It sounds weird for two teams that are under 500, but this is going to be like a really good series of baseball, I think.
It's also going to be a hotly contested series. I think both these teams are looking at each other, and it's like, there's really only probably the best case scenario, one of us going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Mets already took a series from them. So the Padres definitely going to have their backs up against the wall a little bit. Definitely feel the importance. You talked about Fernando Tatis. He was suspended for the first, 22 games of the season, something around that number, 20-ish. He already leads the Padres in home runs with 16 in 67 games. Ha-Seong Kim, who I've always told you was a good little baseball player, and you always chastise me.
Whoa. That was not me.
Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Usually I talk more about baseball to you than anybody else, but the guy's hitting, he's fielding, he's running. He's got a quiet 10 home runs, 15 stolen bases at the All-Star break now. Could be looking at a 2020 season for Ha-Seong Kim, which is kind of like the player that everyone I think expected when he came over from Korea, and then it was hard for him to adjust. And like, wouldn't you guys know, American baseball is really difficult. He's nice to come back up and being good. The one thing that's been holding the Padres back this year in a big way is the fact that Machado and Xander Bogaerts haven't, until the last couple of weeks, played to their potential. Yeah. Bogaerts playing a huge power zap after he had, it was either a wrist injury or got a ball kind of buzzed early in the season. I think he hit an wrist around there. His power hasn't been there since then. Machado's just kind of been slow, getting into his rhythm, kind of the way he does. San Diego is also a ballpark where their weather is weird, much in other places in the country, where they have they're very humid early in the season and then they dry out as the summer goes on. So maybe that's something to do with it. The ball, I don't know what's going on, but it's the same thing that we talked about when we played this team early in the season, where this team is popcorn muscles.
Yeah.
Where the top of the order, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to look at those guys. And you get to 5, you're like, all right, we can get these guys out now. That's fine. And then it's just these 3 pitchers at the top, these are the ones we got to face. And then the bullpen's good, but it's not like a bullpen you can't get to. Josh Hader's been really good this year, but he's not Brewers Josh Hader. Tim Hill getting a lot of innings, Nick Martinez, Honeywell. These guys all have some stuff, but these guys are all can pitches that we can hit. This isn't a team, I'm afraid, but you're going to have to play good baseball to beat them.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be a really competitive series. Like you said, 2 teams that kind of need to win some baseball games sooner than later. Mets are luckily hot right now, 5 in a row. Let's keep it going. Make me and James really sweat to eat this pizza, because I'm telling you right now, my doctor and my family is not happy with the thought or the idea that I'm going to be having some dairy for the first time in 3-4 years. I'm not happy about it either. But if the Mets win 10 in a row, that's what we'll do for you. We'll risk our health for you guys for this team to get hot. So
not even a question.
Yeah, not even a question. Got anything else here, James, before we wrap it up here, so we can let everybody go to sleep, including Vito, because he's got a little bit of editing to do.
I'll leave you guys with one quote I heard from Keith, because this was another one of these wacky Keith Gary series out west. This happened about, I want to say, 5th or 6th inning on Wednesday night. It's coming from Keith Hernandez. You guys remember how Keith Hernandez was when he was a youth. You can't hoot with the Owls if you want to soar with the Eagles. That's a lesson for all you guys.
Can't hoot with the Owls if you want to soar like the Eagles. I'm going to get that tattooed on my body if they win the World Series.
It's too many words to get tattooed in your Maybe you do it in Chinese, so it's only one symbol for each one. If the Mets win the World Series,
I'll get an eagle and an owl
right now. If the Mets win the World Series, we're getting that quote in some kind of Asian language on our body, so it fits.
Sure, deal. I'm in. I'm in. Sign me up.
Yeah, spit pack. Vito's our witness. Beautiful.
Yeah, Vito's our witness. You, the Messed Up listeners, your witnesses. We love to just for no reason throw things out there. We'll do this if this happens for no reason. No one's making us do it. Good content. That's what we do for you guys. We bring the heat. We bring the heat. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Mets'd Up podcast. Make sure you're following us on all our social media at Mets'd Up. Subscribe to the New York Mets YouTube channel so that you can see the video version of this, as well as our Francisco Lindor interview. That was awesome. Not a lot of people get to talk to him. We did. Go check it out. It was amazing. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, whatever it is, drop us a follow, drop us a rating, download, subscribe, all that good stuff. We really do appreciate it. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
And me, Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. It's underneath our faces on YouTube if you can see it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. And we will catch you on the next episode of the Mets'd Up podcast. Peace out.